change the angle of your thing so it's not facing up, so it doesn't catch the light from above.
Does that makes it worse? Oh, we'll try that. It looks like we're up and running. Are you typing in something, Zaya, so I can see if the chat's working? Hello, everyone. Yep, looks like my chat is working, which is good. G'day. Hope you're doing well, and those that are doing the online, hopefully you're going fine with that. Yeah, just a fraction late today. Okay, we got a couple of questions that have come through, but they're actually not really questions. So we'll just get through them directly. We're not sure how they've ended up in the Q&A, but maybe the people are going to be listening in the Q&A. If you are there and listening and you are not on the YouTube, I'm going to say this wrong, YouTube channel, you need to go to the YouTube channel so that you can get in onto the chat. So the chat is, we can have some questions and conversation going.
You have to log into YouTube.
Log into YouTube.
Or your Google account.
Or your Google account. Okay. And then you can chat. And please throw a question or three up there so that we got something to have a conversation about. Would be appreciated. The main purpose of this Q&A is for people doing the online course, but we have opened it up for other people that can have a general question that we can communicate about. And
about permaculture.
About permaculture, of course, yeah. And it's interesting that all of a sudden I don't have a light in the background. You can just see a bit of light there in the background, but I don't have. So all of a sudden the days have shortened. It's slowly been happening, but now it's dark. Which is always interesting, the seasonal change. So we're going into our winter. I don't know, what month does winter start, Zara? June. Okay, June. By the calendar, winter starts at June. By the season, it's probably starting soonish. It's cooling down.
Yeah.
And we are past equinox, our autumn equinox. We have put together a Perma Blitz event for next week to do a chop and drop. So you want to get experience on chop and drop, you're welcome to come to the farm. Jump on the website to find out how to do that. G'day, Steve. Thanks for dropping in there, Far North Queensland. Yeah, so we're going to do a Perma Blitz on the chop and drop. So I'm way behind schedule. That's just reminded me now, seeing that we're at this stage. Normally I've tried to have all the chop and drop done. I would appreciate it to be done in February, March, but now we're into April, and I've gotten quite behind on that. So yeah, that would be fun to get stuck into that, have a bit of a group here and get stuck into doing some chop and drop, get some experience, get some hands on, and obviously some awareness of support species and their function. Probably a little bit of how not to leave it too long experience, and so we can discuss that. And so yeah, that's a big benefit that will be achieved for those that come along to get a bit more of an understanding of what to expect maybe in their situation and circumstances. And then the week after that, we are doing a blitz on the syntropic. I have been just each week doing a little bit of the tree maintenance and a bit of the clearing out of the vegetation, the biomass and vegetation in the and in the vegetable beds in between the syntropic tree rows, and we're ready to get a heap of compost in there. So I've been processing the bananas mostly. There's a lot of biomass of banana, which is probably a bit behind schedule, but that's okay. It's biomass, and so I've been focusing on that a lot, chopping the trunks up and putting them in the paths, and then we're ready to get stuck in to get some compost in there and planting up. So I initiated a little bit of seed planting for seedlings in the nursery in readiness to plant that out. So that'll be not this coming week, the one after. That's the plan there. Okay, so from Jen was here at one stage. She's keen to come and do a volunteering for 1 or 2 a day or 2 a week. Happy to drive up. I'm not sure where Jenny is at the moment. She's driving up from somewhere, so she'll camp here or whatever and do a bit of volunteering. That'd be great to have that occur. And then we can, because it's good to have people here. There's always some tasks that can be addressed to keep things moving, and then you're going to learn a bit of the reality. A lot of people don't really appreciate the reality of having your own project, your own piece of land, having animals, having a syntropic system, having water management systems, and etc. etc. So a lot of that stuff is here, and so that you can get an appreciation that if you've been here before, you will see how much the place has evolved. We don't really see it evolve because we live it, and but at times we realize that wow, things have really moved. To the example of I harvested a custard apple yesterday, and there's 2 more on the tree. We missed one; it was on the ground, but I harvested the seed, and it was yummy. And there's 2 to harvest soon, so that's exciting. That's the first production I got from that tree, and so production is starting to move forward. And hence we need to get into the chop and drop, so that can help that tree to grow in maturity and then be more productive next year by cycling that nutrients and giving it some more sunlight, and so it can move forward. There's always those little things that makes it worthwhile when you see that new production come through. I would say yes, our production is behind what a lot of other people have put together, but we've really focused on the system, and that system is in place forever to feed itself, and that's our design. And so getting production later, but for longer. That is the idea. Longer without actually having hands on. Rightio. Okay, I'll go to the next comment question. This is from Danielle. Hello, I follow Harmony, and she has been attending your weekend permaculture classes. So at the moment we have a weekend permaculture class, a PDC, the Permaculture Design Certificate course. We're doing that on for 5 weekends in a row. So yes, Harmony has been here, a lovely addition to the course. And I'm wondering when the next start date is for the intake. Would love to join up. So thank you so much for what you're teaching, Daniel. The date for the next startup, Zaya?
So we have a 2-week course in September.
A 2-week course in September, so that's face-to-face.
September, and then we have a 5 weekend in a row course over the month of October.
So it's early September for the 2-week in a row, and then 5 weekends in a row in October.
And if you want to do it online, the intake is ongoing, so you can do the online whenever you feel that you want to do the online.
And then with the online, and even if you're doing any courses with us or whatever, we have this Q&A, so that you can, with the online, there is a separation between the teacher and the moment, and so the online gives a chance to have those questions for when some of the information has not been able to be understood. And so that's what the Q&A is about, to elaborate on the comments on the videos.
And just to give you a heads up, I would highly recommend booking in for one of the courses this year. Next year we will only run 1 course for the year, because we want to focus in other areas. So, I mean, the online will still be running, but we will have 1 residential course.
Only 1 residential course next year. And we want to focus more on getting more food production from the property. A lot of time gets taken up in doing 2 courses, 4 courses a year, so we'll bring that back to 1. And yeah, so we want to really focus on the property because I lose quite a bit of time doing the courses and energy. It's particularly the weekend ones takes a bit of energy because I don't get a break. I continue doing stuff each day during the week. And it's exciting that we can move that way. We have our water source has improved. Our water holding capacity of the dam has improved, so we have more water at this stage, and we're intending to get more production happening because the property is able to do that. We focused on diversity that gives you stability, fertility, and then productivity. So we are moving into the productivity stage. Some people might think that's taken a very long time, but we had quite a degraded system and really no fertility system. So it was a degrading system in its own right. Even just sitting was degrading. I guess it would have turned to forest, but that's unproductive. Pretty much at this stage, there wouldn't have been much harvestable timber in a forest here until probably another 100 years. So because it was be regenerating and not choreographed at all. So it was degrading. It was quite not good order. To the point where people that were here were not expecting anything from the property. It was one time they were. And so we've turned that around. So now it's becoming productive. Yes, it's taken quite a few years to get to that, but we have also focused on teaching, consulting, which means I'm unavailable for the property, and allowing the natural building of the design. So it's trying not to interfere too much, trying to let it do it naturally, and hopefully allow it to get very resilient in that process. The forest that would have been here if we weren't here and new people coming in hadn't done anything, if it wasn't for us, would have it would have slowly built fertility in time, but we've really sped that up, and because of bringing in animal systems, and we those animal systems, we don't just leave the animal systems to do their own thing. We really, which takes a lot of time and energy, but has been quite fruitful. We've been blessed that we've been able to, on another note, we've been blessed being able to acquire some equipment for more fencing. Main thing is more fencing. To find move some of the fencing forward. I'm doing a lot of temporary electric fencing daily moves, and some of that is boundaries of paddocks or edges of swales and things like that. And so we're going to put in more permanent electric, just a single line permanent electric, wire and posts, and that'll simplify the management and also move forward with the goats. We're still a little bit behind on some of the goat stuff. So we've been able to acquire some gear to get that nearer to functional, total functional with just opening, shutting gates. And so that's exciting. So that was today's major effort, was picking up that equipment. And also we're endeavouring, we're not sure quite when, but we want to get some permanent fencing in a boundary for starting pigs in pig tractors. I want to have a good boundary fence to keep out wild pigs, and also keeping our escapees when they might get out of the tractor, just so that simplifies that. It's more secure, keeps the dogs out, and then so that's interesting to be moving towards that. And also for more poultry, we want to get into ducks and turkeys. So yeah, we're acquiring some electric netting for that, and hopefully that will. I'd like to work towards more permanent wire for that, wire fence, permanent, but we will use the temporary electric netting initially to learn the system a bit, and then we'll know what we need. We've got to a couple of ideas of how they might function best in rotation. And once we get that in mind, then we'll probably go to the permanent. I'd be frustrated to put in permanent and then find we have not read the situation properly. So that's the endeavour, to get the permanent in time. But initially, we're going to do the temporary, and so that's a step that we're moving towards. Yes, it'll probably make us busier. Hence, we dropping some courses so that we can have more time spread over the year to get things right with that. With the pigs, we're intending to do them seasonally. So in the wet season, when we have the flusher growth and plenty of water, we'll try and work the pigs. So we'll grow forage for the pigs. We'll endeavour not to buy in for the pigs. We'll grow what we can. So that'll take a bit of working to get that right. And then they'll go in the freezer, and then so we can stop doing that during the dry period. So that's going to be a new schedule to be worked out. And the ducks and the turkeys, or the poultry, will be ongoing, continuous year round. So that's a new system. Steve, any thoughts on the inevitable change to on the end? What's that word? Inevitable.
Yeah, I think he means inevitable.
Inevitable change to biological fertility and scaling up. Well, I guess we are scaling up at the moment. We're scaling up on vegetable growth. So we're looking. We did have veggie box coming off the property this last season, so we're endeavouring to do that again, and would like to scale that up to more veggie box. So that's more space planted. The fertility system, so the composting system's pretty cranking. So we got that there, the main fertility system of the composting system, as well as the water management system, working with that as well. And then we're bringing in this diversity. So the next syntropics is fantastic for fertility and diversity. Absolutely, we've seen that well shown with our little bit of syntropics that we got here. So we'd like to do more syntropics. That is possible. We have the space to do that. There's a space that's not actually being utilised. It's really not being utilised. So it's just creating biomass at the moment. That we're just nibbling at the edges of that, in anticipation that we will come into that and get that moving forward. It's actually more space than the syntropics. The syntropics is about 200 square metres. So we will incrementally move into this other space, which is probably, I don't know, 300 square metres maybe. I haven't really measured that, and we haven't really determined how large that's going to be. So yeah, and the syntropic in the summer, we're not doing veggies, so that's where we're intending to grow the pig forage. Some of the pig forage, all of the pig forage, we haven't determined that yet. And what that will be, we haven't totally determined. So we'll be doing some research on that. That might be 2 years away before we get to that, but it could be soon. We'll have to see. Well, obviously, it's not going to be this wet season. That's finishing up now. On this wet season, that should be. We were hoping to get another big rain soon. I haven't got up and done that big swale. That was supposed to be done this week, but other things have got in the way. So I hope it's not a huge rain, but I'd like to see the dam topped up again, and hopefully that will bring in more organic matter and maybe slow down the lowering of the water level in the dam. I've noticed that before. Each time it fills up, more organic matter comes in and blocks up the leak. So that's what we need to occur there. That'll be extremely pleasing to see that. But not on the scale that we had before. But I guess we don't have much control over that. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Zaya, you got any other comments? Thanks, Steve, for those comments.
No, I was looking at the rain, and they're talking 50% chance of rain tomorrow. So
Yeah, but only a small amount. There's no big system.
No. But Easter is coming. Usually it rains over Easter.
So that's a pattern. Usually it rains over Easter. So Easter's around a moon moment, and it can sometimes be quite a big moon moment. So So that can bring in rain. Even when we're in Western Australia, we'd say there's quite often it rains over Easter. I don't know. I've never really looked to see how many years in the last 100 years have rained at Easter, but that seems to be a fair comment. There's been there's a bit of spider action at the moment.
Yeah, I haven't seen any major action going around with ants and spiders, but yeah, so it might not.
It's been very interesting this season with the banana biomass in the syntropics. It's been huge. We haven't touched the bananas for a period of time, which is probably not ideal for the stratification process to express itself well. So we've been looking at that, and there's a lot of biomass, and even the other bananas are really cranking. It's been the wetter year for about 4 years. So it's very noticeable. It's very interesting. It's exciting. It makes things a bit sweaty because there's a fair bit of swinging to do. The biomass up on the swale was just that. There's a access across the swale mound, and the mugwort up there is full on. I was quickly going to set up the electric fence, and I'll be doing it tomorrow because I didn't get it done this afternoon. There's a lot of biomass there, so we're hoping to get into that during this coming week with the chop and drop. There's some nice tree seedlings in there that'll be getting a bit smothered, and which is disappointing because they could have had the opportunity to really crank with a bit of sunlight, and we haven't given them that opportunity. They're still there; they'll be okay, but it's a bit disappointing that we haven't really achieved the most potential. And also, the idea with the chop and drop is for the organic matter to decompose, and that won't get a good opportunity to do that because we're going into the dry season, so it'll sit there and probably oxidize a bit if we don't continue getting some more rains for the next couple of months. Steve, yes, we have done bentonite on the dam. We never did the base of the dam, and I now also think that right at the top of the dam there seems to be seepage. The base of the dam we've tried to, because we didn't empty the dam when we put the bentonite in. I didn't think the leak was at the bottom, but once the dam gets full, it's about 7 to 8 meters of water, and that's quite a bit of pressure. So it was coming out the bottom. So we've used polymer on the bottom, and hopefully we never let it dry out again. And then I could possibly put some bentonite around the top with the dam full of water. If we have some surplus resources at some point, might do that. I'm thinking about that one. Yeah. In reality, I don't really want the dam to be totally full of water all the time, because we have on 100 mil of rain in 1 hour. We have and that's in the wet season, and there's a lot of very little intake of that water into landscape. There's 9 million litres in that catchment, and if the dam's full, that 9 million litres has got to go through the 2 spillways, and that doesn't fit. Hence the issue we had before. So we really need the dam to actually go down a bit or use a bit, which we intend to do, and so the next event doesn't cause a bit of a drama by overflowing the dam too soon. So that's a bit of a game. It's annoying because a dam that holds water, like a spring-fed dam full of water, the edge is gorgeous. You've got the lilies, you've got the reeds, the greenery's right there at the edge, and the water looks just gorgeous. Has that oxygenation from the plants, the fish, and you've got habitat. It looks absolutely gorgeous. So I'd love to see that. I want to get the typha growing in there, but I'm going to have a dam that's going to fluctuate. 1, because I irrigate from it, and 2, because it leaks a bit. But I do need it to go down a bit. So I should be respecting that. I'm going to throw some typha in soon. I could have done it already, and just see what it does. I don't know how dry typha can get, how that manages that. If the typha is established enough, maybe it can hold a fair bit of moisture for a few months or more without being in the water. I don't know how edgy it is. I think with a lot of organic matter, it should hold enough moisture to look after itself, but I don't know. I haven't had much experience with typha. G'day, Finn. Did I remember the name for Finn? Hello from Finland. Nice to see you again, Finn. A retention basin rather than a dam. Yeah, ideally in time we'll get another dam or 3 that we can have full of water. Perfect scenario is a spring-fed dam, but I think I've missed out there totally. Yeah, that I think we've really missed out. This landscape here doesn't seem to have spring water. Do you remember Finn's? I remember something.
Yeah, maybe he came
A few ago. Nice to hear from you. Any questions for us or any comments on how you're going, please? That would be appreciated.
Or questions, anything about
any questions? Yeah.
Anything you need help with?
One noticeable thing with the syntropics or bunyip pump. Oh yeah, Steve. I still haven't answered your email. Can you just comment? I looked at the video on the bunyip pump. You pump the water into the top dam. Then what happens to that? Is that what you're using? I saw in the video you're irrigating the swale or the vegetation on the swale mound. Is that what you're doing? You're trying to use it for irrigation, or are you allowing it to go back into the swale ditch? Is my curious thing. My comment on that would be the volume of water needed to fill the swale. I think you would need several watering points in the swale because I think it would absorb a lot of water quite quickly. The bunyip volume is, I think you mentioned 1 day. I can't remember now. Whether it's 1 day pumping, 2 days of water use, or the other way around. That was my question on that. I think it's the volume of water that you're going to achieve from the bunyip. I like the idea. It's a great idea. I guess in some scenarios that is happening, but people aren't pumping it back up again with the bunyip. Usually a bunyip's pumped up for a head for a shower or gardens or tank at the top, but pumping up into a dam is a great idea. It's a fantastic idea. I'm just trying to think what the friends that have the bunyip, that's going into a tank. It's just the volume ratio that's going to be okay. What's Finn got? Could drop water from a try. I haven't tried the tromp yet, the Finn. I think about quite a lot. I mean, my scenario here, I'm limited to my situation here, and I don't have a high water source. If I had a spring or something, it'd be fantastic. But I'm limited with my property, and I haven't had an opportunity to do it on any other property. Every course I talk about the tromp, so that people have that awareness. And I haven't heard anyone do it. I'm sure a lot of it people think about it. There's a few nerdy people that really like that idea, and it's just having the application of the tromp would be fantastic. And also what Steve's suggesting about bunyip, when you have excess rain, capture it in a lower dam, and then capture in a midway dam, and then bunyip pump from that back up to a high dam, and then you can irrigate from that. I'm sure people are doing that. It's the volume that your bunyip's going to get. So if you get several bunyips going, well, then you can probably do that to get that volume. But any water that we can get up to a higher point without a machine, without an engine or electricity, is a fantastic idea. Hence the need and the design and the application of the bunyip type pumps to pump up, the ram pump, the bunyip pump to pump up. I've seen them done to tanks in Vanuatu, and then that gives head pressure to a village in a tank. I've seen several of them done. I wouldn't say they were done well. They were a bit. Um, I see they reduced the outlet pipe size, and then that would give more friction. So it's going to limit the capacity of the pump when instead of putting on a bigger pipe. Because that's the long pipe that's got to go the further distance. That's going up to the tank, and they had a half-inch pipe where they should have probably had a 3/4 or an inch pipe. The outlet on the pump was bigger than the hose, so they reduced it down, and so they reduced the capacity of that system, and hence they only use the water for drinking and cooking, not for washing themselves. Washing their dishes, but not themselves. So they still had to walk down to the creek to have showers or have their bath. So I was a bit disappointed in that one or two applications that I saw. Not all of them would be like that. Okay, no worries, Steve. Yeah, that was my main question: is what was the intention with the high dam in the video? Thank you. Okay. Excellent. Thanks for the comments there, guys. Having a chat going, that's really good. Any more questions would be great. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping up. I've been to town today, so my mind hasn't been on thinking about what I wanted to discuss today. I've just had to scream home and get the animals sorted and come in here. So my mind's been a bit absent from the property. But it's been exciting getting this equipment. So very happy about that. Very soon we have our need to go for at least one of us, myself, to go up to the station. So we're starting to get our situation sorted. We have a new volunteer that needs to learn how to milk the cow so that I can leave the property, because I'm going to go up and do the monitoring of the station, and that's coming up soon. That'll be next month, and so that is a bit of a priority on the property at the moment. Think towards that. And so basically I've got to start thinking of where the cows will be, simplify the cow movement, and so that whoever's here knows how to, without too much drama, knows how to manage the cows for probably 4 or 5 days that I'll be absent doing the monitoring. And yeah, so that's a bit on our get things organised, get as much done as we can, and then hopefully everything's in good order. The goat system's fantastic at the moment. It's going well. Yes, I want to get that extra paddock in place, the extra one in number 7 in place. That won't happen before I go, but it's going really, really well. The goats are looking good. The goats got sick because they got foot rot with all the wet weather. Their yard was flooded for too long. They got foot rot. We've worked out how to rectify that. A copper sulfate bath that we stood them in for 10 minutes each, and that sorted that out. Would have been better to do it sooner, but they was we healed them up quicker, which was great. Okay, there's a comment. Have you experienced embedding hoops to a hoop house? So the only hoop house style that we have greenhouse is our nursery, and also we did we put some shade over one section of the syntropic thing, and what we do here is we get 50 mil agriculture grade, which we call the green stripe in Australia here, and we hammer the star pickets into the ground. So that's the metal fence posts, the triangle star fence post. You hammer them into the ground. I usually use the 1.8 meter posts, hammer them in the ground the normal depth, and then you push the hoop of polythene pipe that we use for our irrigation, our main water supply lines of the 2-inch. There's the 50 mil agriculture one, not the high pressure one. It's a different diameter. They use the inside diameter and outside diameter, so it's not right. And agriculture is not as expensive, agriculture grade. And then you put some timbers in between. That's our main simple method for making a greenhouse. Very cheap, not super strong, but you put in a few timbers. Sometimes you might have to put it upright in the middle to hold it up. I think our posts are probably the outside parts of the hoop are probably 4.5 meters away from each other. I don't recall exactly what that is, and it's okay, but you do need a centre support to stop them bowing down. Yeah, that seems to be it. That's our simple one. That's the quick and simple. That's all I've really done. Then obviously you can go up into more expensive factory built ones. Steve, heard of this site before? Dr. Bernie Amodi. I don't know. Of Dr. Bernie Amodi. No, sorry, Steve. I don't know that one. You might need to elaborate more on that. On what topic? Before. Well, yeah, all good. Obviously, still quite busy. We are short on volunteers. We're going through a flux of not very much volunteer activity. At time, that's fine. Probably not the best idea in the middle of the wet season with a whole lot of biomass going crazy. But it's okay. We're ticking away. We're getting production. We're actually getting quite a bit of banana production. That's fun. We're moving quite a bit of banana. And I started to mention about the syntropic. I think I started to mention, I wanted to, but the questions came in or comments. With what's noticeable at the moment is a lot of new syntropic gardens, systems are being implemented, and people need plant stock to plant them out because you need a lot of plants. And so we've been moving a few of them. Just an hour ago, someone dropped in and got some citronella grass from us. They want to put them into those systems to trial it in the system. So that's interesting. So we're next couple of weeks might get some aloe vera from us, and some comfrey. And that's one of the beneficials, I think, benefits of a permaculture system is you end up in abundance of plants, like lots and lots of plants. We don't put in a couple of plants here and only have a couple of plants, and a couple of plants there and only have a couple of plants. We put in a lot of plants, and because we're chasing that biodiversity and we're chasing that biomass, to get our accumulated organic matter. So we don't just put in one or two, we put in heaps, and obviously on different scales. And then at the moment, it's been quite advantageous to us because people are wanting more. I'm not sure how long we'll be in that position, because as their systems develop, they'll have propagating material that they can move on to their next systems. So and then obviously other people hear about them and grab some more from them. So at this moment, we're just thinking it's a great thing. Taking advantage, I suppose, is a common word that we use, but I wouldn't say we're taking advantage. It's just an opportunity of moving material, and it's exciting. It's good. So that takes a little bit of time, but it's great. I'm at home and the system's doing it. I'm not degrading the system because I have got the system into a state of it's generating surplus energy, and so that every time plants leave the property, that's energy being removed, but the system is able to handle that. And so exciting. I wouldn't have been able to do it probably 8 years ago. I really didn't like material leaving the property because I'm still trying to build it. Now we're getting to a point where there's surplus. I have to be cautious that I don't overdo it, obviously, because I'll deplete the system, and I don't want to do that because then I'm going backwards. I wouldn't say we put in a lot more systems lately, probably a little bit. I would like more systems to go in, more vegetation. So we haven't planted. A disappointing thing of this wet season is we haven't planted very much. We planted hardly anything, and it's been a beautiful wet season. So I've missed that opportunity. That's all right. It's not a terrible thing. We have a lot happening already. So evaporation active. Okay, I've got to go back up. Sorry, I've got to scroll up. Here we go. So you have a spine in the top of the roof. Yeah. So what will happen when you put shade cloth on your polys, because they're flexible, the poly pipe hoops, it'll pull in to the middle. You can't put load on them; it'll pull towards the middle. So you need a spine which can take the weight, and so you might need 5 spines. One at about where the posts reach to on the height at least, and then one right at the top. I've made a mistake in not having one at the top before, and you get a belly in the middle. So one right at the top at the apex of the hoop, and then halfway between the one you got at the post and the one at the top. So probably 5 spines. These don't want to be heavy timbers or rails or whatever. They need to be light so that they don't put too much weight on your poly pipe, because it is a basic system. And then we're not in a cold climate here, so I don't use a plastic. I only use a shade cloth, and our shade cloth really only needs to be 50%. Um, mostly we're trying to minimize the heat in the summer, but sometimes we're trying to warm it a little bit in the winter, but not really. It's more about keeping the heat out. So in your climate, it's going to be a different scenario, Finn, because you're more about keeping the cold out and get it quite hot. Keep the temperature, get the temperature into summertime. So I have tried the poly sheeting, like clear, it's opaque clear. It gets too hot for us, so it's going to be a different scenario. So hence I don't need to roll up the sides. I roll up the sides due to heat. It's when it was poly, yes, I had issues with it too hot. It would get 45 degrees in there pretty easy Celsius. I had doors on the end, but still was getting too hot even with the doors open. So hence I changed it to shade cloth. I'm a different climate here than you. So if you're going the other way, it held together quite fine with the poly, and maybe you might need to roll up the sides. So I didn't have that in my design. Maybe that would have been an idea to roll up the sides to let more airflow when it gets too hot. But I didn't have that in design. I just totally decided to go back to shade cloth. The disadvantage for me is with the poly, if it rained, I still had to water the garden. With the shade cloth, I still get rain in there, so I don't have to water it when it rains. So that was, so it's going to be a different scenario for us than it is to you. I've got 2 threads happening here. So Finn, I'll just jump down to Finn. There must be a max span on the pipes can hold. So the posts. So I had think in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I had 5 posts per side on a roughly a 10-meter garden. So that's 10 meters. So that's 5. That's every 2.5 meters that I had a hoop going over, and then I think it's 5 meters. I bring it back to, might have been 4 meters, probably 4 meters between the posts across. So the hoop legs were 4 meters, big pardon, 4 meters apart. I think that's probably the furthest I could go apart. And I did put supports in the middle. I just went into the forest and got a couple of tree sticks that were pretty straight and supported the middle, just to give it some more support. And I also put in a cross bracing wire from end to end so that it didn't flop back and forwards. In the middle, which is annoying because you have this wire in the sort of in edge of the middle bed. Is a cross bracing wire. It was center post of the 5 hoops, the base of the center one. I tied a wire there and went to the top of the outer with the rib the spine along the top. I had wire coming down like that to give it a triangle. So because they found it was doing this sideways, lengthways, not sideways, lengthways. Okay. Thanks, Flynn. We're up to speed. That sounds good. Okay, back to Steve, Garden of Eden. Unpowered evaporation solenoids up to 50 mil and other great innovation. Okay, you're right up in the technical side of this evaporation activate. Yep, that's pretty cool. Unpowered evaporation solenoids. Okay, I have seen a model of that. That was at Jeff Lawton's. When the humidity dropped, the weight. So there was something on a lever, and when the humidity, oh, sorry, wrong way around. When the humidity dropped, it rose, and that activated a switch and put the sprinklers back on again. So basically, when it got a bit dry, it didn't have as much weight on it because there's no less moisture on it as it dried out, and it would come back on. I can't remember the name of that model. I've seen it at Jeff's, and also saw it at a Isabel Shippard's nursery. They're a good switch. Cool. Okay, excellent. We've got a few people tonight. Thank you, people, for joining in. We've got 2 threads going there. Just say good day if you like. I'm probably getting close to wrapping up for the day. I'm getting a bit puffed out. I don't want to get boring, but if you want to say good day, just whoever else is watching there. If you don't have a thread, you need to be on the log into the YouTube or to Google. I don't know how to do that, so I don't know what I'm saying. Zaya, have I said that?
YouTube and Google, they're basically, owned by the same company.
Same company. So you need to log on, and then there's a chat thread going. So that's what's happening inside.
Sign into Google or YouTube, and then you can actually participate in the chat.
And you can participate in the chat and just say good day, and then I usually jot down who's been chatting, and then I know where you're from, and because I'll check that out, and so I can relate to the climate in the questions, and also hopefully remember what course, if you're in a course or something like that, so that I've got a bit more context, so which is great, and that makes it interesting for me that people are communicating with and otherwise I'm just talking to a picture of myself, which gets a bit boring. I don't look in the mirror very often, but I actually look into this screen more than I do in the mirror, I think. That's interesting. We have 1 mirror in the house, I think. It's in the bathroom. That's it. Okay, Steve. So they're different, okay, but I don't know if they're similar concept. I'm not sure. I was always keen to get one of those. However, I'd always like someone to be going down to the nursery. So if you have a fully automated system, there's an excuse not to go to the nursery. We'd like to go to the nursery. Our nursery is not in the ideal location. It is a little bit removed, and it's not in a main pathway or near a main access way. And so hence I don't get there very often. I wish I did get there more often. I really enjoyed it when it was my task to water it, and that would be the last task before breakfast after all the animals, is to go and do that. And then I would just stay there until I got called for breakfast, and then I'd do some weeding or quick potting or something like that. I'm not doing that, and so the nursery is not getting fully attended. So that's just an interesting observation of mine. Yeah, I think I've mentioned more than once. Next time, if I had to design a property for myself again, the nursery would be in the middle of the main path going through the garden. I'd make it wide enough to have a wheelbarrow go through, so I'm going through there every day, so that I tend to the nursery. That's only way I think it would work for me. I don't intend to redesign and start again. Okay, thanks, Steve, for that comment, and thanks, Finn, for being good to hear from you and catch up, and for the questions. Yeah, so we got a nice little number of people watching today. Flynn is on Telegram. Okay, cool. No worries. Yeah, we're on Telegram. So, yeah, and
You
we
know
can.
what the Telegram group is?
The Telegram group. What Telegram group?
Oh, you said say hi on Telegram.
What's the Telegram group? Finn, please, and we have Anne. Okay, Anne, I'll run that one. Hex Foodies. Oh, that's right, Zaya. Hex Foodies. Remember that from before?
Okay.
Yep. Anna. Yeah. Hi, Tom. Did you seal your dam, and what product did you use? So the dam is better. We have used bentonite. That's a few years ago now. Can you tell me how many years, Zaya? That would be 6 years ago. About 6 years ago, bentonite. But I'd never had the opportunity to empty the dam totally because I needed a water source. You're going to be doing your dam action repairs, earthworks in the dry season, and I needed water for the gardens and for the animals. So I never emptied the dam. I guess I made a mistake in assuming that the bottom of the dam wasn't the leaky bit, because I seem to have water stay there okay. Hard to measure because by the time it was getting down to there, I was irrigating regularly. So that was an assessment. So the bottom, let's say it's an 8 meg dam, maybe half a meg, probably less than half a meg, 300,000 litres would have been in the base. And that usually hit that reasonably each year, about that regular thing. Okay, so we put the bentonite in the dam on 2/3, 3/4 of the banks, not the upper slope part on the dam wall and the two sides. We put the bentonite in. We found some soft areas when we did that, so we removed, reshaped a bit of the base of the dam, and then we removed about 600 mil of the soil of the wall, and then put the bentonite down. We put in 9 meters, 9 cubic meters of bentonite clay. So we spread that around where we removed, and then we put the soil clay back on again and compacted it. And that made a marked improvement because I had the water levels going down, or 200 mil a day, things like that. It was ridiculous. However, when the dam filled up, you've got more pressure. So then it started to go out the bottom again. So we put in polymer. That worked. The level, the dam got about 2/3 full. We put the polymer in, and in 4 days the rate of drops stopped. It got much better. We went down to about 10 mil loss per day. So that was fantastic. However, we pumped the dam dry because we're irrigating, and the polymer doesn't work when it dries out. And so when the dam filled up again, it leaked again. So we put more polymer in again, so a second application. But what we did was we waited till we were praying on getting a good amount of water in. So the dam went 2/3 full. We waited 10 days for the water to the sediment in the water, the color, the flocculating clay in the water to settle, and then we put in the polymer product again, the second application, and that's been pretty good. The dam filled up with the big event that we had, and we still have it losing volume. So it was 50 mil a day, now it's 40 mil a day. Maybe when it gets down to the level similar to before, it'll get to 10 mil. I don't know. So, but I don't want to put polymer in the dam at the top because I am going to use the top level. So I'm just hoping it'll take up, or I don't know. It's a bit of a challenging point with that one. Worst comes to worst scenario, we empty it again. I'll bite the bullet and I'll put bentonite. I'll empty it, but to empty it, what I'm going to have to do is dig another dam, hopefully a good, nice little holding dam higher up the slope in the valley. Do a good quality dam there. Maybe even put bentonite in as we build it, and then we'll pump out the bottom part of the big dam, pump that up to there, and then I can empty totally empty the big dam, and then we'll put bentonite in the base, and see how that goes. That I won't put polymer in again. I can't see myself putting it. I think I'm throwing money away. So I want to get the bentonite into the base and just see how we go from there. Ideally, we only use the top half of that dam. That's where I want to get to, the top half. So it's in height is 8 meters. So we can then use the top 4 meters. We're meter and a bit down at the moment. So yeah, it's not cool, but yeah. Okay, so Anna, hopefully that answers your question there. That's what we've done. So we've been looting. Okay. Yeah, it's had some great results, Finn. The bentonite. My challenge is I haven't done the base, and maybe the top section of the dam could have had a better application. Maybe I'm not certain on that. I possibly could have thrown more polymer. I only put in, what did we put in? 3 buckets, Si.
Polymer.
Yeah. First time was 4, second time was 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly should have put in another bucket. One challenge we had, and in hindsight, ideally you don't have too much organic matter in the dam when you put the polymer in, and we did, because we had vegetation in there, and that's probably grabbed hold of some of the polymer and not, it hasn't gone where it needed to go. So that was a bit of a mistake. So that is an option to try again later, to have that organic matter. But I'm praying on another big rain to fill it up, bring in some organic matter, and hopefully the rate of drop will slow. I've had that happen before, at another time when there was more water around. So that's what that would be nice to occur. No, we don't have ducks, Finn.
Not yet.
Not yet. We're working on that. I don't know that I have ducks up on that dam. And the scale, I've heard people trying to use ducks to seal the dam. The scale, I probably need 1,000 ducks. I'm not going to feed 1,000 ducks. That's going to be very expensive. I've had a pair of ducks on that dam when it was half full of water. They escaped up to there. They starved. There wasn't enough food there to keep them going. They starved. We thought they'd be all right, but because the dam is up, live on. That does not. That is a challenge. Hang back. I'm having a connection issue. So
I can still see you.
Anna, thanks, Tom. I use polymer also, and it holds okay for now. Do you think it will leak again when it dries up? When I rang the company that I got the polymer from, I said the dam dried out, and I said, "Oh yeah, that the polymer will disappear. It's an organic product. It needs to be kept wet when it's in application, not when it's in the bucket." The polymer we used was, what's the name of it's on the bucket. There's buckets that are outside the polymer. I'm not. Do you know where Anna is? I forgot. Anna, where are you? Other side there. It's Seep and Save, or
Water Save.
Water Save.
Water Save Seep.
Okay, then. Cheers.
Polymer Innovations.
Wait, say it again. Polymer Innovations.
Polymer
Innovations. So they're based in Brisbane, Glenwood. Okay, sorry, Anna. I probably should have remembered that, but yeah. So that's Polymer Innovations. That's Southside Brisbane somewhere. I haven't been there. It's been what? Have I been? No, it's been delivered every time, haven't it? I picked it up from somewhere. Yeah, it's been delivered up the coast. I haven't gone to pick it up. So I've picked it up on the coast here at the 2 times. So I think it could be Ipswich way. I can't quite remember. But yeah, Polymer Innovations. There's 2 products: Plug and Save, Seep and Save, or Water Save, something like that. This second time I went Plug and Save, they reckoned I needed the larger particles because I had too big a leak. So I possibly didn't do myself a favour, and I should have put the 4 buckets in, not the 3, I did 4 the first time, and particularly because we had too much organic matter in them. Okay, I'm going to wrap up, guys. We've hit the hour, so that's really cool. I'm happy about that. That's because we've had some interaction. So thanks, guys, for being on board there, and the questions and comments. Good to see you there, and I appreciate that. Thank you. We'll talk soon. Back next week.